I want to get started by first and foremost, I want to thank Angela Tharp and the Flamingo Cantina for so graciously hosting us every single month for so many years. Thank you so very much. Absolutely, thank you. Be sure and tip your bartenders as well. They work on tips. I also want to acknowledge my good friend Bill Norton. Bill is the founder of Texas NORML. 1973, he started working on this movement, and so we owe everything to him. Thank you so very much. Absolutely. How many people is this your first meeting here tonight? First time here? That's a lot. Everybody give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you for being here. That's fantastic. That is fantastic. This meeting is all about taking the next step in activism. So each one of you for being here tonight for the first time are doing just that, taking the next step. So that's huge. Thank you so very much. How many members do we have here? Texas NORML members? Yeah? Yeah, like your membership is valid? Yeah? Not expired? Check the table, absolutely. Les can tell you one way or the other. That's awesome. Thank you very much. We would not be where we are without our member support. So thank you very much. First timers, if you're interested in membership, go speak with Les. Les is our membership director. He can answer all of your questions. Anybody who is a Texas NORML board member, if you sit on the board in any capacity as an advisor, as a director, officer, one of those, please raise your hands. So first timers, if you see any of these people with their hands up and you have any questions whatsoever, come find us. We have whatever answers that you need, I promise. All right? All right, all right. So like I said, we're talking about taking the next step, okay? Each and every one of us are here because we care. And there's always another step that could be taken. So we're going to talk about that. We have a couple great speakers, so we're going to share their next step that they're taking. And then I'm going to share the next step with you that I'm taking. Who here has seen any of my recent posts about an upcoming Texas NORML announcement that's coming up tonight? Yeah? Yeah? A couple of you? Well, yeah, sometimes. I try not to. It's anyway, enough about that. So that announcement is coming later. We also have a drawing, some giveaways from Grav Labs. Yes? Yes, Grav Labs. So sign up. There's a place that you can put your name in the bucket over there. And right now I'm going to stop rambling and I'm going to hand the mic over to Cheryl. Cheryl is one of our newest board members, and so she's going to tell you about her next step and how she got here.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Cheryl. I am the current board treasurer for NORML. It's a new role for me. I am, or was, an accountant, so I do have the credentials to handle this role. So I'm just going to tell you guys a story about how I got to this point. I was on Facebook today to double check a whole bunch of dates to make sure I got it right. I still can't figure out which puff and putt was my first, though. That's a tough one. I moved to Austin in 2008, and I've been a cannabis appreciator as an adult for the most part, most of my adult life. And I moved to Austin, and I heard about NORML. I think I'd heard about it before, and I was kind of like, oh, good. Someone in Texas is trying to do something about it, and it'll be legalized before we know it. Good luck. And didn't really do much about it. But the thing is, I really like ska, and Flamingo Cantina is like pretty much the only place you can see a good ska show, and reggae. This is where you go. We call it the mothership in my little group, my ska group. And there's NORML stuff all over here. I noticed it all the time. And then I think one night I came for a free reggae night and caught the end of a meeting. It didn't know what it was until later. And so I started getting more interested because I became a single mom. I got divorced. And suddenly I was a little bit more concerned about if I got arrested and what would happen to my job, what would happen to my kids, just because I have like a prohibited plant on me. And so I thought, I should start maybe doing something about that then. Maybe I'll just join NORML. I'll pay for the membership, and then they can say, we now have one more member this month. And I'm just supporting with numbers. And I let it be that for a while. But then they had the they had the members mixer. That's actually why I became a member, because I wanted to go to the party that I heard was good. It's around Halloween, so next year, we already had it this year. Next year, you're going to want to go. The costume contest is getting pretty good. But I wanted to go to this party and I had to be a member, so I just signed up, but I never even went to the party. I paid for it and didn't go. Uh, and lucky for me, a couple months later, I ran into Les over here, and him and his girlfriend Lisa were coming to NORML, and they were volunteering and being active. And so I just started coming to the open meetings, just this meeting once a month, just enjoying the activities that occur here and learning more. And frankly, I was a little, I laughed because I was like, oh, stoners can organize. And in fact, the board is a nice, this organization is run really well, and which is where I'm getting to. So I joined, I became a member, I got more involved because there was a event coming up and they just needed some volunteers. And that's in March, that's called the Puff and Putt. Keep it on your mind for the future. And it's a golf tournament that benefits our veterans program. And it's beautiful, and I went out and volunteered there. I volunteered for a lot of events before, and they can be organized poorly or well. You don't know what you're going to get into. But I was so impressed with the quality of volunteers that were at this event. Everyone was so happy to pitch in, rotate out so you could get a break. I only had a 4-hour shift, and I think I had 3 breaks. And people who had paid, board members who had paid to be at this event actually came in and volunteered as well. I was just, people were just using their own time to support this cause. And I was like, oh, I think I want to work with them a little bit more. So I asked, what else can I do? I started typing in business cards that Jax had picked up from conferences and meetings. And then I started helping with shipping merchandise, which is, frankly, I think everyone hates shipping merchandise, right? That's our least favorite job. We do it for like a year and a half, and then it kind of rotates to the next person who can take it. But we have all these little things that need help. And I started having opinions about maybe how things could change or work better. So Jack said, why don't you start coming to board meetings and getting more involved? And I just listened probably for a year. I'm not sure. And then eventually the treasurer position opened up, and when Jax asked me about it, I was like, yes, I want that. That is really involved with NORML at that point. I can't deny it at that point. I am here. And so that's my little journey from I joined in 2013. It's 2019 now. So yeah, it was a nice couple of year progression for each step. And I have loved working with this organization. I really want to encourage everyone to become members because it helps us. We're trying to get grants. We're trying to get information. We got to give people, we got to say we're growing. And we're not growing if people don't join. And like we said, check your membership renewal date because you may be behind, and we don't get to count that. We have to wait for you to renew before we can start counting that number. And so membership's very important. And then volunteering is also important and fun. We have a really good time. Some of my best friends are now NORML members just because I spent so much time working with them. And we have some events coming up. Jax, what's the next one? Puff and Putt? we have a veterans outreach program. We have a lot of things going on. And we're looking for people to be willing to help us and give us a little bit of your time and join an organization that really appreciates the time you give us. And so, yeah, I just want to encourage everyone to be members and volunteers and join our Facebook group. I don't think we talk about that much, but we tell people a lot of information through our Facebook page, Texas NORML. And if you're interested in being a member or a volunteer, go to texasnormal.org. And there's a couple of forms you can fill out, and especially volunteer things. Someone will get back to you. I think that's it. Did I talk really fast?
Thank you so much, Cheryl. All right. You don't want to hear from me right now because the next person's way, way better at what he's got to say. Brandon. This guy needs no introduction, but I'm going to give him one anyway. Brandon is another one of our newest advisors to the Texas NORML Board. He is one of our patient advocacy advisors, and he's going to blow your socks off.
I don't know if Full disclosure, Dave's a little biased. I've known him for like 20 years. I was in his wedding He doesn't know me. Hold on, I got notes. Oh, cool. Yes, that is it. How y'all doing? All right, good. All right, guys. Who here has a left arm? Can you raise it? Cool, lots of left arms. I'm not a discriminatory person, so who here has right arms? Perfect. Hey, you guys picked it up before I even had to tell you to raise them. Cool, so I know you guys can do crowd participation. That's going to really pay off. So I'm Brandon. As Dave said, I'm now a patient advisor for the Texas NORML Board. Not a role I wanted. Actually, I was bullied into it. And this is 2019. That's not acceptable. But Dave Winnicky, who I've known for 20 years, and his super aggressive wife, Akila. If you know Akila, you know Akila. Otherwise, yeah. So I've been a cannabis user more than half my life, and a large portion of that as a medicinal use. But I wasn't an activist. I had life goals. I had things that could not, cannabis and them could not mix. That was never going to be a thing. But I hung out with Dave. That guy, the MC of this show. So that guy, Dave is not here. That guy consistently bullied me. Bullied me up and down every time I saw him. Get involved. I'm like, can't do it. And then a day came where I was going to leave this state. I was born here. This is home. If you meet a Texan, they're me. Like, nobody believes this state more than I do. But I told my girlfriend after the 2017 legislative session, they get one more. 2019, we don't pass it. I'm out. I'm leaving. I'm going somewhere else. But I'm a fucking Texan. And I couldn't do it. So 2018 rolled around. Bully Dave was like, hey, you want to speak? And I'm like, don't like speaking in front of people. Don't like people. He's a bully. So March of 2018, I spoke on this stage, told my story. And it was the most invigorating thing I'd ever done. Like, it opened up a level in me that I didn't know existed. So Bully Dave goes, hey, we have a march in Dallas. Fort Worth, technically, for Stockyard fans. Do you want to speak? And I'm like, oh, I don't know about that action either. It's a lot of people. And I did it, and it was incredible. Bully Dave comes back in and says, hey, you get more involved. Dad, Dave, I don't like your logic. What I do? I become members, start going to mixers, coming to these things. And I'd been coming to these meetings for 3 years without being a member. Because I'll be honest, I didn't think it mattered that much. I didn't think my membership was going to be a thing. Like, I'm just a guy in the crowd. There's a lot of us here. Should be more. Tell your friends. But no. Once I got involved, once I saw it, we are the reason differences happen. The state of Michigan just last week started allowing legal sales to adults. You know why? Because the people told them they wanted it to happen. Most of the legislators in that state did not approve of it until the people spoke up. They saw the numbers, they saw what the people wanted, and it made a fucking difference. We can make that same difference here. We are a big-ass state, and we need more people at the Capitol. We need more people being involved. Because I'll tell you, this last session was the first time I went and spoke to my legislators. They don't understand. To them, weed is the same thing it was in 1968, 1974. It's the weed that you were smoking wasn't helping anyone. And that's just not where we are today. Science has taken us to levels that aren't being told to legislators that are 60 and 70 years old. Go off of legal book that's not current for them. So we need to make this if you're patient. We need to bigger patient voice, because that's what they need to hear. That's what passed in every state around us. You just need to be involved. Once you talk to them, the first time you go to the Capitol, you'll understand exactly why you should be there, because they don't know what they're dealing with. To them, it's different, and we have the ability. Should I kind of change it there? Sorry. Yes. I mean, it's the other thing is, if you don't want to make your physical presence felt, there's this awesome tool. It's called the internet and Google. And there's 3 searches I'm going to ask you to make. 1, who's my representative? It's a real simple one. It comes up first link. Don't even have to scroll. You click on it, you put in your address. It'll tell you your rep's name, who they are, how to contact them. Click on that, then you know who you're dealing with. Second, open a new tab or new window if you do not use an up-to-date browser. And in that browser, search your representative's name, voting record, cannabis. Real simple search. Also, it's going to be the first or second click, depending on how well your spelling is. Click on that, boom. Open the third window. You bring that one up, and then you go, how to get involved. You know what comes up? I'll tell you what the first thing is. It's really cool. It's called Texas NORML. It's these guys. We're doing good. So those 3 pages will really get you where you need to be. You'll pull up your rep. You'll know what they do. You'll know both of how they act and how they, what their party is, things like that. Then you'll see their voting record, and you can go through and see how they voted on every cannabis bill, at least to 2014. I don't believe it goes in 15. Thank you. And that'll really help you. And then after that, you can go into the thing I'm going to tell you next. That's a segue. February 3rd, 2020. That is roughly 75 days or so away. And you're like, what is that? What's the last day to register to vote for primaries? See, we're getting there. We're almost to that legislative session. Just because we meet every 2 years doesn't mean this isn't a time to act. This is where you start building and learning your candidates and learning where you need to be. Sorry, thank you. February 3rd, 2020. So then, you have to register by then, and then the primaries fall March 3rd of 2020. So these are where you vote on these candidates. You need to know where they stand. You need to figure out who you're behind, because what you choose in February and March of this year is what's going to make a difference in 2021 when we're back in the legislative session. So leading to that, January 12th of 2021, that's 13 months from now. 13 months, our next legislative session starts. And that's not the time to be building relationships and knowing what they stand for and who you need to be speaking to. That time is now. That's when they start doing their work. This is our work session. This is our legislative session. This is why we get 2 years. We work now to make shit happen in 2021, because we don't want to wait till 2023, 2025. The rest of the country is fucking passing us by. You want to see that happen? Can I see a right hand for anyone here that wants to see the rest of the country pass Texas? None? Cool, we're good. Can I see a left hand for anybody here that wants to see Texas get passed? No, we're good. All right. So come on, guys. Every fucking bordering state and country. Sorry, I got to quit dropping F-bombs because it's on the internet. I'm sorry. I get back. Sorry, it's 1080. They see me well. F-bombs. Every state surrounding us has some form of better policy than we do. And you know why? It's because we're not telling them what we want. We are the most powerful state in the union. Make your voice heard today. If you're not a member of NORML, become a member. If you sit in this meeting month after month and you're not a member, we need to talk, because you can't be here and support this without supporting it. Get involved. Contact members here. Contact your representatives. Do something. Don't just wait for something to happen. That's not how it passed in any other state, and it's not how it's going to pass here. I love you all. Become Texas NORML members.
For the record, I'm not a bully. I never once laid a hand on this man. Not once. I feel attacked. I feel attacked. I prefer to call it being powerfully unreasonable, is what I was. Maggie knows. Maggie knows. Was that right though? Like, did his delivery not blow you away? Did it make you feel empowered? Want to get involved? Want to take that next step? That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you. I'm excited about the work that we're going to do together. I really am. So I'm going to remind you one more time about the giveaway. We have some gifts from Grav Labs that we're going to be giving away, some functional glass pieces. So be sure and go sign your name up over there at the table. And right now, our executive director, Jack Swinkle, is going to come up and talk about some upcoming events.
Is this when I curtsy? I don't curtsy. That's not going to happen. All right, before I talk about upcoming events, I actually want to talk about some interesting things that have been happening on the regulatory side of the laws here in Texas. So here's the fun thing, guys. When you pass laws, the bureaucracy then makes regulations. And if you don't continue to stay involved during that process, they can become overburdensome. They can become ridiculous and out of control. You can end up with really high tax rates or all kinds of different things. A lot of the structure is made in the regulatory process. And so what's been going on recently, you guys recall me talking about the hemp consumable hearing that was happening, and we were talking about the hearing having to do with incurable neurodegenerative diseases and defining what that is and what conditions qualify for that. So recently, I think it was yesterday or the day before, it was either Monday or Tuesday, I'm sorry, I don't remember at this point in time, but they actually approved what conditions qualify as incurable neurodegenerative diseases. It's actually fairly extensive, and there is a clause that if a physician thinks that there's an additional neurodegenerative disease that should be included, that there is a petition process for them to get it added. So this is all very good news for patients that want to make sure that they can register. I know that we're all well aware that it is a low THC program. And so for some people, you know, you may wonder, why would someone want to be, you know, involved in a program like that where they don't have the ability to have flexibility in THC? Well, if you have a child who needs medicine, it's really helpful to have a prescription for that, so that if anything happens and you get any harassment for it, you can say, my child is a registered patient. This absolutely should be in their system. Additionally, the hemp regulations are rolling out, and we've heard really a lot about some of these hemp products, aka CBD products, you know, not having in the bottle what it says on the label, this, that, and the other. And so it's also good to make sure that you're having a medical grade product if you're someone that has, you know, a really, you know, complicated medical history. Because as you know, if you have some oils perhaps that are pesticide laced, just as you concentrate the cannabinoids inside of the oil or inside of from the plant into the oil, you're also concentrating the pesticides because they're very similar in their molecular makeup. So it's very important that you know where your stuff is coming from. Now, this is not to say that there are not reputable people out there. So do your research. There are some businesses that are really thoughtful in curating what they have on their counters and what they make available to people. And there are actually hemp tours do a really good job of testing all of their stuff in addition to some of the testing that they get to make sure that it's actually true. So it's doing these types of things that it's a protection that people need whenever they are using it, really, truly in a complicated medical situation. So I am happy that it will be available to more people and that they will have those protections, aka some of their civil rights back. to practice and have medical freedom and control over themselves. And then I'm going to tangent on to something else now. There was another hearing, and it was yesterday. The House and the Senate put out these things called interim charges. And so when Brandon was talking about now is the time when we're getting work done, not only are we getting work done on the electoral process side of it, but they're doing these interim charges, which are like research hearings, essentially, where they invite special expert witnesses and the public to come and offer testimony and feedback on certain different policies. And so what they were wanting to discuss at this hearing was the vaping crisis, aka the black market crisis. So that was fun, and it was educational for myself. I did get to offer testimony talking about really the problem has been with the black market cartridges with the vitamin E acetate and the other adulterants because they are not being required to be tested. And when you go to states that require just these basic truth in labeling, that they have, you know, what you say actually in it, and that they're tested to not have certain adulterants, that there's only been one reported case of anyone contracting EVALI from that. EVALI is the abbreviation for what the lung disease is that people are getting. And sorry, I didn't mean to cough in the mic. That was rude. Sorry, internet also. So I was able to offer testimony because I wanted someone to be able to be there to really talk about the cannabis cartridges, because they are an aspect of this. It was something like 82% of the people had THC in their cartridges, 68% had nicotine in the cartridges, and something like about half of them had both in the cartridges. And they did find vitamin E acetate in, I think, almost every single one. And so really what this comes down to is the black market doesn't work because consumers are not able to have any repercussions against the businesses who are giving them knowingly tainted and fraudulent items. And that was essentially what I wanted to highlight, and offered them some testimony on that. It'll be interesting to see what they come up with. They definitely were focusing on the nicotine aspect of it, which I mean, I think is important, right? That's a conversation to be had. But really, we're seeing a lot of it in the THC cartridges in the black market. And for us to not recognize that issue is to not be truthful with ourselves. And so what one of the senators said on there is, you can either outlaw these things or you can regulate them. And then he kind of caught himself for a second, realizing what he just said. Yeah. And then he was like, which I don't know if we have the bureaucracy for. Right on, bro, right on. But he did go on and say, you know, that a lot of it is about personal responsibility. So it's interesting, the conversations that are going on around this, and it's important for us to stay involved so that we can offer ourselves up to give them good resources and have thoughtful feedback on what's going on, and show them that, you know, we're not afraid to address the hard issues too. Some people might want to blame it all on the e-cigarettes, but that's not what the facts show us, right? So we have to go with where the science and the facts take us, and then we need to be making policy based on that. And what that means is, in regulated states, cannabis cartridges are not killing people, right? So what could we do? I don't know, some truth in labeling. I'm down. There is evidence on that only one cartridge, to my knowledge, when I did the research, only one cartridge from a licensed dispensary has been linked to an EVALI case. All of the other ones were illicit black market cartridges with vitamin E in them. Now, here's the issue also with the e-cigarettes. Theoretically, you shouldn't really have too much issue with it, but what they're saying is some of the flavorings that they're using are an oil-based flavoring. And so that's the difference whenever you vaporize an oil versus whenever you're like, you know, vaporize. There are vaporizers that use plant matter too, right? So this was something we had to explain to them in the testimony as well. And then there's open systems and closed systems. and how these things work and what go in them. Well, you can have e-juice, you could have, cannabis. You could potentially be putting cannabis flower in it, which now also includes hemp flower, which is totally legal. So you can't search my car, bro, without some more reason behind it. So we'll keep you updated on those things and how they keep going. We should have some more hemp regulations out, hopefully within, I think they said the next month. So by before or around the new year, we should have some more information on that. Brandon was talking about voter registration, and there's a couple things that I want to bring up. So, Texas NORML, we're awesome. But also we have a sister organization called Foundation for an Informed Texas. And we're going to be doing quite a few things across the state. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the events both of these organizations are doing, because the foundation is actually going to be funding our veteran advocacy work that we're doing in 2020. And so I think it's an important thing that I still touch on and talk about. And the foundation is also going to be funding the workshop tour that I will be participating in January. So today is the monthly meeting. So we got that. Check. You're all here. Hi. Oh, also, first meeting people. May I see hands? Who is this your first meeting? Well, welcome. Thank you for coming. You picked a good night. It's not too cold. It's not too hot. And we have a really great patio. All right. So now let's talk about the January open meeting. We will not be here on the first Wednesday like we normally are, because it's like New Year's Day. We're not doing that. So we'll see you on January 8th. So if you have it on your calendar, please remember it'll be January 8th for the open meeting. And I'll make sure to try to post that a little bit more as we get closer. And then you are welcome. I love gratitude, especially because Thanksgiving-mas just happened. Thanks for asking. All right, so in January, it's my birthday also, but before it's my birthday, I will be going on a educational advocacy workshop tour, and everywhere, boo, all the places. We are going to 11 cities. And I don't play. I'm going all the places. We're going to Lufkin and Victoria and Midland, Odessa and Dallas and Houston and San Antonio and Tyler. And then we'll do one in Austin too, because I like you guys. Yes, and you know what? Honestly, if you guys know people in these areas, please share these events so that they can come and join us. We're here in Austin, so it's a lot easier for us to get up to the Capitol and give testimony, but it's really important that we get these people in rural areas involved and educated on what's going on. And that's one of the things that the foundation is focusing on, is rural education and advocacy. So then at the end of January, we will be putting out the primary voter guide, so that you will have it for early voting and voting day. Now, it's important to note, Brandon was talking about who represents me. There is a texasnormal.org/who-reps-me, and you can find it there. And then from there, you can click to our voter guide, which is currently just the voting records. So you can enter in your information there. It will pop up who your legislator is and how they've voted on things in the past. So you can go ahead and get a head start on your research if you want. And then you don't need 3 tabs. You need one website. My website. Go to texasnormal.org. Okay. He was like, open up a tab. I'm like, this is a click on another link thing, bro. That's all you got to do. So then you register to vote by February 3rd. We'll see you here on February 5th. That will be a candidate forum where we will be inviting the people from the Tri-County area that are running for House Representative and Texas Senate, whoever will, participate with us. We've had really good participation for a couple years now. And then I want to talk about early voting, because sometimes it could be difficult for you to get out on the day of, but you can do early voting from February 18th to the 28th. And then March 3rd is the primary election. Let's talk about politics. They're complicated, and you have to be involved from the beginning. So if you care about platform planks in any of the political parties, it's really important that if you are a Democrat or a Republican, that you participate in the primary elections. That, in some cases, is where the most contentious races will be, because sometimes, who am I kidding? We have gerrymandered districts, and so we need to make sure that we're engaging at the primary level, because that's where we can really have a good effect. And after the polls, the Democrats and Republicans hold precinct conventions where they start to introduce these platform planks, and then you court it through the process all the way to the state convention. Now, if you are a Libertarian or a Green Party, you do it a totally different way. You don't do it that way. So don't listen to what I said if you're a Libertarian or a third party person. You're going to do something different, okay? Then it's going to be South by Southwest, and I don't know if you know, but we are doing some things, okay? Save the date, Cheryl. This is the first thing that people will really be able to volunteer at an event at, okay? So it will be on the 18th of March. We will be hosting our second Texas Cannabis Kickoff event. As you know, South by Southwest has all of these cannabis panels, like I think it's 45 panels this time or something crazy like that. I know. And so some of them are crazy, though, the topics. I'm like, what? And some of them are really good. So we will be holding an event here where we'll have some special speakers. We'll have some music, and that'll be to kick off this whole weekend and kind of week, if you will, of cannabis conversation. And then on the actual 19th, time to be determined, Texas NORML has been approved to be an official meetup. So we will be officially approved by Southwest hashtag. Let me tell you what it is. Hashtag South by Southwest Texas NORML. We don't play. We don't play. I'm real excited about it. Dude, if we turned it on Twitter, that'd be hella cool. Okay, what else are we doing? Then it's like other things. And it's spring. It's amazing. Puff and Putt is going to be our next big volunteering event after that. And we are going to be hosting it on April 4th, which is a Saturday. So it's going to be 4/4 of 2020, yo. Okay? I didn't stutter. That's the date. And that is our big veteran benefit. So that's going to be a really important thing to participate in. Oh, I forgot something in February. Let me go back real quick. So our first veteran seminar, we're going to host 3 veteran seminars, and it's going to culminate in this really great statewide conference. And so the first one is going to be in Tarrant County, and it's either going to be on the 15th or the 22nd. That's to be determined. And then the next one will be in New Braunfels. And that's either going to be on April 28th or May 2nd. So we'll announce those dates as we get closer. And then in May, that's when all of the state conventions are going to be happening. Now listen, y'all, I could keep going. And do you know why I could keep going? Because I plan my life every 2 years at a time. And so I know most of the dates that we're doing all the way through July 2021. But I won't tell you 18 months of events, okay? I will only tell you to May. So I'm done with that. But if you have not signed up for that giveaway, I think we're about to give it away, because that's all I got to say right now. You ready?
We'll give it away in just a couple of minutes, as I want to say a couple of things beforehand. Thank you, Jax, by the way, for all that. Who here listens to podcasts? Anybody? Anybody at all? Yeah, a handful in here. I didn't start listening to podcasts until I guess it was about 6 months ago. Music is what I listen to on my commute to work. Podcasts to me always just seem like talk radio for people who don't have AM radio. Um, I don't have an AM radio. I guess there is one in my car. Anyway, I digress. So about 4 years ago, no, it was longer than that. What was it? 5 years ago, yes, 2014-ish. I was talking to Les about how he's like, hey man, you should start up a Texas Normal podcast because he likes podcasts. And that was one of those things. He's like, yeah, we should do that. And that was about as far as that went. Yeah, I mean, yeah. And then I guess about 6 months ago, Les was at my house, and he was on he was really driven and really motivated about life and all these different projects that he was doing. And I was like, Les, now is the time for you to start up that podcast that you talked about 5 years ago. He's like, that's a good idea. We should bring that up at the next board meeting. Like that's been on the back burner for a long time. A couple hours later, in that same conversation in my kitchen, I was talking about my public speaking and how I want to do more and more of it, and how I just have a passion for reaching as many people as I can and educating and empowering people to make their voice heard. And he then stopped dead in his tracks and goes, well, you're going to host the podcast then. So announcement time. I'm announcing to you right now, for the first time publicly, that Texas Normal is starting a podcast. We had an interview today in the studio with our executive director, Jax Finkel. Yeah, I think it went very, very well. So this podcast is going to cover anybody and anybody who's anybody within the cannabis movement, as far as the legalization movement, and also the booming and thriving hemp and CBD industry that we already have going in the state of Texas. So we're going to talk to politicians if we can, if they'll come on and be a guest. We're going to talk to activists. We're going to talk to lawyers. We're going to talk to doctors, patients, veterans, mothers, fathers, daughters, everybody. And we're going to reach as many Texans as we can to educate and empower and let them know just exactly how this process works. There's still so many people who think that ballot initiative, that they can get X amount of signatures and get something on a ballot, and that's just not how it works. So our mission is to reach the entire state of Texas, and we're going to make some change. So I am going to be co-hosting with my buddy Les, as well as he's going to be co-producing with me, and we are launching at the beginning of January. So look for that the first of the year, the Texas Normal Podcast. All right. They know they're getting functional glass art. Okay, well, unwrap it. But wait, there's more.
It's in here somewhere. Okay. All the functional glass. All the things.
All the functional things. Hey, you make your own judgments, all right? I'm not going to do that. But Jimmy, what does that say?
Jimmy Mewhitch?
Jimmy?
Oh, sorry.
Excellent. Jimmy, thank you very much. Cheers, buddy. Cheers. And guys, that's all I got. I'm not going to make you listen to me any longer. Thank you very, very much for being here. Please be sure to go see the bartenders, tip your bartenders, and I'll see you guys upstairs.